Some people matter. Others just waste air. Those were the words my son Marcus spoke. He stood up at his fancy dinner party. He held his drink high. He looked around the room with a big smile. Then his eyes found me. I was sitting in the corner, the small chair near the kitchen door. That's where I always sat now. Marcus was turning 40. The room was packed with his friends. Expensive clothes everywhere. Shiny jewelry. Perfect hair. Soft piano music played from speakers I couldn't see. The lights were dim and golden. Everything looked like a magazine. Marcus wore a blue suit that cost more than I used to make in 3 months. His shoes were so shiny I could see the ceiling in them. His wife Diana stood next to him. Her smile was bright. But it never reached her eyes. Not when she looked at me. I held my glass of water. They didn't give me wine. Nobody asked if I wanted any. Nobody asked me anything anymore. Marcus cleared his throat. Everyone got quiet. He raised his glass even higher. Then he said it again. This time louder. 'Cause honestly, some people matter. Others just waste air. Right, Mom? The room exploded with laughter. Real laughter. The kind that makes your stomach hurt. Diana covered her mouth, but her eyes were dancing with joy. Marcus's brother nodded and clinked his glass. Even the catering staff in the back smiled a little. I sat frozen. My water glass shook in my hand. But I didn't look down. I didn't cry. I just stared at my son. The boy I raised alone. The boy I fed when we had no food. The boy I held when he cried about bullies at school. Felt hot. My neck burned. My cheeks burned. But I stayed still. Very still. Like a statue. Marcus kept talking. I mean, let's be real here. Some people add something to the world. Some people just fill up space. He laughed. Everyone laughed with him. Someone yelled, "Cheers!" Glasses clinked all around the room. But I didn't move. I just sat there, remembering. I remembered when Marcus was 3 years old. He fell off his bike. Scraped both knees. Blood everywhere. He screamed and screamed. Picked him up. I carried him 6 blocks to the clinic because we had no car. I held his hand while the nurse cleaned his cuts. I sang him songs all the way home. I remembered when Marcus was 10. His dad left us on a Tuesday. Just walked out. Didn't even pack a bag. Marcus cried every night for a month. I slept on the floor next to his bed. I told him stories. I promised him everything would be okay. I promised I would never leave him. I remembered when Marcus was 16. He wanted to go to college. A good college. We had no money. 0. I worked 3 jobs. I cleaned offices at night. I washed dishes at a restaurant. I sorted mail on weekends. I saved every penny for 4 years. I sold my mother's ring. The only thing I had left of her. So Marcus could go to school. And now he stood there. In his expensive suit. In his huge house that I helped him buy with my first $1,000. Telling everyone I wasted air. The laughter kept going. Someone told a joke about old people. Someone else asked for more champagne. The music got louder. And I just sat there. In my corner. In my cheap dress from the thrift store. In my old shoes with the worn-out soles. Invisible but seeing everything. Quiet but hearing everything. Then something inside me woke up. Something that had been sleeping for years. I set my glass down on the small table next to me. I stood up. Slowly. Carefully. The chair scraped against the floor. It was loud in the sudden quiet. Everyone turned to look. The laughter died. Talking stopped. Marcus looked at me. Still smiling. But now confused. Like he didn't expect me to move. Like he forgot I could move. Took a breath. Then I spoke. My voice was calm. Clear. Strong. Actually, Marcus, you're right. Some people matter. Some people just fill up space. His smile got smaller. Everyone was staring now. The whole room. Silent. Waiting. Kept talking. That's why I'm glad I just bought my own house. 3,000 kilometers from here. I signed the papers last week. I have the keys in my purse. The silence changed. It wasn't fun anymore. It was shock. Pure shock. Marcus's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Diana's smile disappeared completely. Marcus's brother looked at the floor. Everyone just stared. Nobody moved. I continued speaking. Don't worry, Marcus. You'll never have to waste your space on me again. I'm leaving. Tonight. Forever. I picked up my purse from the floor. It was old and brown and falling apart. But it had everything I needed inside. I turned toward the door. My legs shook a little. But I walked anyway. One foot. Then the other. Nobody tried to stop me. Nobody said anything. I only heard my shoes on the wooden floor. Then I heard the door close behind me. Outside the air was cold. It was dark. But I felt nothing. No sadness. No fear. Only freedom. Only light. Only the feeling of finally breathing again. Got into my old car. The one I bought 15 years ago. The one with rust on the doors and a broken radio. I started the engine. It coughed and sputtered. But it started. I drove through the city streets. The same streets where I pushed Marcus in his stroller. The same streets where I held his hand on his first day of school. The same streets where I walked home alone after his dad left. And I understood something. Something important. I didn't waste space. I built the space Marcus now lived in. And now it was time to build my own. I drove for 30 minutes. No plan. No direction. Just driving. The streets were empty. Most people were home asleep. The street lights made everything orange. I could see my breath in the cold air inside the car. My heater hadn't worked in 2 years. My hands were shaking on the wheel. But not from fear. From relief. Like when you finally put down something heavy you've been carrying forever. I stopped at a small park. I knew this park. I used to bring Marcus here when he was little. I taught him how to swing. How to climb. How to be brave. I turned off the car. I sat in silence. Just watching the empty swings move in the wind. Back and forth. Back and forth. Then I cried. Big tears. Loud sob. I cried for everything. For all the years I made myself small so Marcus could feel big. For all the times I said yes when I wanted to say no. For all the words I swallowed. For all the pain I hid. For all the love I gave that was never given back. I cried for the mother I used to be. The one who believed her son would always love her. 3 months ago my friend Rita called me. Rita lives in a small town by the mountains. 3,000 kilometers away from this city. Far from Marcus. Far from Diana. Far from everything. She told me about a tiny house for sale. Her neighbor was moving to live with her daughter. The house was small. 2 rooms. 1 bathroom. A little yard with apple trees. Rita sent me pictures. I looked at those pictures for hours. Weeks. The house wasn't fancy. It had old paint. Crooked shutters. Porch with broken boards. But it had something I needed. Peace. Quiet. Space that nobody could take away. I asked Rita how much. She said $50,000. I had $38,000 saved. I'd been saving for years. Every dollar I could hide. Every tip from my cleaning jobs. Every bit of money from selling things Marcus didn't know I had. Old jewelry. Antique dishes. Furniture I kept in storage. I told Rita I needed time. But I didn't really need time. Already knew. I just needed more money. I sold everything. My grandmother's china set. My mother's pearl necklace. An old watch my aunt gave me. A wooden cabinet I inherited. Everything with value. Everything except my dignity. In 2 months I had $50,000. I called Rita. I said I wanted the house. She talked to her neighbor. We signed papers online. Late at night. When Marcus and Diana were asleep. When nobody could ask questions. When I was invisible like always. 1 week ago the keys arrived in the mail. Small silver keys on a chain. I hid them in my purse. The same purse I carried tonight. I touched those keys every day. Just to know they were real. Just to remind myself I had somewhere to go. And tonight when Marcus said those words. When he told everyone I wasted air. When he made them all laugh at me. I knew it was time. Time to tell the truth. Time to leave. Time to choose myself for the first time in 40 years. I wiped my face. I started the car again. Engine coughed. But it worked. I wasn't going back to Marcus's house. Not tonight. Not ever. I drove to a small motel downtown. The Lucky Star Motel. $30 a night. The sign flickered. Half the letters were burned out. But it was clean. And nobody knew me there. Paid cash. The man at the desk didn't ask questions. He just gave me a key. Room 7. I went upstairs. The room was tiny. One bed. One lamp. One window. I sat on the bed. A squeak. I looked at my phone. 12 missed calls. All from Marcus. 4 text messages. 1 from Diana. 1 from Marcus's brother. None said sorry. They all said the same thing. We need to talk. This is a misunderstanding. You can't just leave. Come back. We'll explain. I turned off my phone. Lay down. And for the first time in years, I slept without feeling guilty. Without feeling like I owed anyone anything. The next morning I woke up to sunshine. Real sunshine. Coming through the thin curtains. Took a shower. The water was warm. I got dressed. I went downstairs. The motel had a small restaurant. I ordered coffee and eggs. The coffee was strong. The eggs were perfect. And I ate alone. But I didn't feel lonely. Felt free. I turned on my phone. 20 more calls. 10 more messages. Now cousins were writing. Friends of Marcus. Everyone wanted to know if it was true. If I really bought a house. If I was really leaving. If I was really choosing myself. I only answered one person. Rita. I wrote, I'll be there in 3 days. Thank you for everything. Then I deleted the rest. I didn't block anyone. I just didn't answer. Because I didn't owe them my time. I didn't owe them anything. I spent the day organizing. I didn't have much. My whole life fit in 3 boxes. Few books. Old photos. A blanket I made. Cross my mother gave me. That was everything. I didn't have furniture. The furniture belonged to Marcus. I didn't have dishes. Those were Diana's. I owned nothing. Except 3 boxes. And $50,000 of freedom. I called a moving company. Small and cheap. I told them to pick up my boxes tomorrow. Take them to my new address. 3,000 kilometers away. The man on the phone said okay. No questions. $200. Said yes. That night I stayed in the motel again. I turned off my phone again. I felt that peace again. That strange peace that hurts a little. Because you're leaving behind your whole life. But also brings relief. Because that life was killing you slowly. I thought about Marcus. About the baby he was. About the man he became. And I wondered when it happened. When did love become control? When did my sacrifice become my prison? When did I stop being his mother and become his burden? Had no answers. Only questions. But it didn't matter anymore. 'Cause I had already chosen. And nobody was going to change my mind. The next morning the movers came. 2 young guys. They were nice. They carried my 3 boxes like they were made of gold. Even though they were just old cardboard and memories. I gave them Rita's address. They said it would take 4 days to arrive. Paid them $100 up front. It hurt to spend money. But I needed to. I couldn't carry 3 boxes on a bus. Because I didn't own a car. The car I drove last night belonged to Marcus. Everything belonged to Marcus. The house. The furniture. Car. Even the plate I ate from. Had nothing. And also everything. I had a house with my name on it. I had keys only I could use. I had a future only I could control. I went to the bus station. And bought a ticket. Leaving tomorrow. $400. 3-day trip. 2 stops in between. I didn't care. I needed that time. Those quiet hours. That distance between who I was and who I would become. I went back to the motel. I spent the afternoon alone. I watched the ceiling. I counted cracks in the paint. I listened to sounds outside. Cars. Voices. A dog barking. Life. Life that wasn't mine yet. But would be soon. I turned on my phone. More messages. More calls. This time Marcus wrote something longer. Mom, we need to talk. This is crazy. You can't just leave like this. Come home. We'll fix this. Fix this. Like I was broken. Like what happened could be erased. Like his words weren't real. Like I wasn't sitting in that corner. Like everyone wasn't laughing. I didn't answer. Put the phone away. Closed my eyes. And I went back to that moment. That table. That glass raised high. That voice. Some people matter. Others just waste air. I saw their faces again. Diana smiling. Marcus's brother nodding. Everyone. I went back to bed. Picked up my phone. I wrote something. Just for me. 3 words. Am enough. I saved it in my notes. I didn't send it anywhere. It was just a reminder. Promise. Truth. I couldn't sleep well. I woke up many times. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that dinner party. That raised glass. That smile. That laughter. But I also saw something else. My new house. The porch Rita showed me. The apple trees. The mountains. A place where nobody would tell me I wasted air. Because that air would be mine to breathe. At 5 in the morning I was already awake. Showered. Got dressed. Went downstairs. Paid my bill. 3 nights. $90. I walked out with my purse. With my old brown purse falling apart. But inside were my keys. My ticket. My phone. My future. I walked to the bus station. The streets were still dark. Few people were opening shops. A woman sold coffee from a cart. A man arranged newspapers. Smelled like morning. Like beginning. Like hope. Got to the station. I sat on a metal bench. Cold and hard. Waited. I watched people walk by. Families. Couples. Children. Old people. Young people. Everyone going somewhere. Me. Going somewhere too. Finally. The bus arrived at 7. Big and blue and loud. Got on. Found my seat. Window side. Wait. I put my purse on my lap. Settled in. The bus started moving. And as we left the city, as the buildings got smaller, as everything I knew disappeared behind me, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Oh. Closed my eyes. Took a deep breath. And smiled. Not because I was happy. But because I knew I would be. Very soon. The bus rolled down the highway. I stared out the window. Thinking. Always thinking. About how I got here. How a woman who once had dreams ended up being laughed at by her own son. I closed my eyes and remembered. Remembered everything. Marcus was born when I was 23. His father was my high school boyfriend. We got married young. Too young. We were happy for 2 years. Then Marcus was born. And everything changed. His father couldn't handle it. The crying. The diapers. The responsibility. One morning he just left. No note. No goodbye. Just gone. I was alone with a baby. No job. No money. No family nearby. Just me and Marcus and fear. I worked everywhere. Cleaned houses. I babysat other people's kids. I worked at grocery stores. I did anything to survive. Marcus grew up watching me struggle. Watching me leave before sunrise. Come home after dark. Watching me count coins to buy bread. Watching me patch his clothes because I couldn't buy new ones. But he never went hungry. He never went without love. Every night I read to him. Every night I sang to him. Every night I told him he was smart, strong, special, that he would do great things. And he did. He finished school with top grades. Got into college. Studied hard. Got a good job. Started making money. Real money. First, everything was wonderful. He called me every week. He visited. He bought me small gifts. Nothing expensive. But thoughtful. I was so proud. So happy. I thought all my hard work paid off. That my son was a good man. Then he met Diana. A woman from a rich family. A woman with expensive tastes. A woman who looked at me like I was dirt. The first time we met she shook my hand. But she looked at my old coat. My worn shoes. My gray hair. She looked at me like I was nothing. Marcus didn't notice. Or didn't care. He was in love. Or maybe just in love with her money. Her family. Her big house. Her fancy friends. They got married 6 months later. Big wedding. 500 people. Flowers everywhere. Expensive food. Band. Diana's dress cost more than I made in a year. I helped pay for the wedding. Not because Marcus asked directly. But he hinted. Mom, weddings are so expensive. I don't know how we'll afford it. So I gave him $3,000. Everything I had saved. At the wedding they put me at a table in the back. Near the kitchen. Away from the family table. Someone said there wasn't enough room. I didn't complain. I just smiled. My food. Watched Marcus dance. Watched him laugh. Watched him become someone I didn't recognize. After the wedding things changed. Slowly. So slowly I didn't notice until it was too late. Phone calls became less. Visits stopped. When I went to their house I wasn't welcome. Diana made excuses. Marcus is busy. We have plans. Today isn't good. Diana stopped pretending to like me. She made comments. Little sharp words. Your dress is so old. You should color your hair. Don't you have things to do at home? Always with a smile. Always with that sweet voice. But her words were knives. Marcus never stopped her. Sometimes he laughed. Like it was funny. Like I was a joke. Years passed. Marcus got richer. Bought a bigger house. New cars. Traveled everywhere. And I stayed in my tiny apartment. Working. Saving. Hoping. Hoping my son would remember me. Would love me again. 2 years ago my landlord sold the building. I had to leave. I had nowhere to go. Rent prices were too high. I couldn't afford anything. I called Marcus. Explained everything. He was quiet. Then he said, okay. You can stay with us. Just until you find something. I moved into their house. Into the storage room. The room they kept boxes and old furniture in. Diana said nothing. But her face said everything. Every time she saw me she frowned. Like I smelled bad. Marcus said, don't worry. It's temporary. But months passed. Then a year. And nobody talked about finding me a place. There were only looks. Whispers. I made myself invisible. Woke up early. Stayed in my room. Quickly. Spoke quietly. Became a ghost. And then came that night. That birthday party. When Marcus said it out loud. What everyone was thinking. That I wasted air. But what he didn't know. What nobody knew. Was that I had been planning. For months. Saving every dollar. Selling everything I owned. Getting ready to leave. And when that moment came when he said those words I was ready. I opened my eyes. The bus was still moving. Outside the city was gone. Now there were fields. Trees. Open sky. Took out my keys. Touched them. Cold metal. Real. Green. Smiled. Because this time the space I took up would be mine. And nobody could tell me I didn't. Kept washing dishes. Didn't say anything. But something inside me broke. Or woke up. That part of me that used to dream. That used to want things. That part one gave up for Marcus. I couldn't sleep that night. I stayed awake. Staring at the ceiling. Listening to Marcus and Diana laugh in the living room. Their happy life. Without me in it. And I asked myself. When was the last time I was happy? When did someone ask what I wanted? When did I matter? I couldn't remember. The next morning I started planning. Quietly. Secretly. I opened a new bank account. Started saving every penny. Stopped buying things. Stopped giving Marcus money when he hinted. I saved everything. Then I started selling. Old clothes. Small things. I sold them online. Yard sales. Nobody noticed. Then I sold bigger things. My mother's jewelry. My grandmother's dishes. Everything valuable. Every sale hurt. But every sale brought me closer to freedom. Weeks passed. I had $40,000. More money than I'd ever had. Felt powerful. Then Rita called. My old friend. The one who moved away years ago. She told me about the house. Sent pictures. And when I saw those pictures, something inside me said, that's your house. That's your place. That's where you'll start over. I didn't think twice. I wanted it. Needed it. Rita said 50,000. I had 40. I needed 10 more. I sold everything left. Watch. Bracelet. An old desk. Everything. In 2 months I had 50,000. I called Rita. Told her I was ready. We signed papers. All online. All at night. All in secret. While Marcus and Diana slept. While I was still invisible. Keys came last week. I hid them in my purse. Touched them every night. To remind myself it was real. That soon I'd be gone. There were hard days. Days I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should talk to Marcus. Give him a chance. Explain how I felt. But then I'd remember. His eyes. Diana's words. The way they talked about me. I wasn't his mother anymore. I was his burden. And you don't talk to burdens. You just carry them until you can put them down. I was putting myself down first. Not with anger. Not with hate. But with the strongest choice I could make. The choice to leave. Got off the bus. Walked to the small cafe. Ordered coffee and a sandwich. Sat by the window. Slowly. Watched people pass by. All with their own stories. Their own pain. Their own choices. Took out my phone. Turned it on. More messages. One from Marcus's aunt. Clotilde, please answer. Marcus is worried. This isn't right. You're his mother. You can't abandon him. I read it 3 times. Got angrier each time. 'Cause nobody worried when I sat in that corner. Nobody worried when they laughed at me. Nobody worried when I cried alone at night. They only worried now. 'Cause I left. 'Cause I chose myself. I didn't answer. Turned off the phone. Finished my coffee. Went back to the bus. Hours passed. More fields. More trees. Small towns appeared and disappeared. Me. Just sitting. Feeling every mile take me farther from my past. Closer to my future. For the first time in years I was doing something for myself. Not for Marcus. Not for anyone. For me. And that wasn't selfish. That was survival. The bus reached the second stop. Evening now. The sun was setting. We had traveled all day. My body hurt. But my mind was clear. Got off. Bought water. Sat back down. Still hours to go. I turned on the phone. I shouldn't have. But I needed to see. 27 missed calls. 15 messages. Marcus. Jana. Marcus's aunt. Cousins. Even people I barely knew. Everyone wanted answers. One message was from Carlos. Marcus's cousin. The one who barely talked to me at parties. Aunt Clotilde, is it true? Did you really leave? Did you really buy a house? Marcus is losing his mind. He says you misunderstood. That you're overreacting. But I was there. I heard what he said. And you're not overreacting. Just wanted to tell you that. I read it several times. It was the first message that didn't make me feel guilty. The first one that just said, I saw the truth. I didn't answer. But I saved it. Maybe someday I'd thank him. Maybe not. Then I opened Marcus's message. Long, too long. Mom, please. We need to talk. This is insane. You can't make decisions like this without me. You're my mother. You have responsibilities. Families don't run away. Every word hit me. But differently now. Before I would have felt guilty. Questioned myself. Thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was my fault. Maybe I should go back. But not now. Now I saw the words clearly. Control. Manipulation. Someone who lost power trying to get it back. Because that's what I was to Marcus. Power. Control. Someone who always said yes. Someone who never left. And now I had left. He didn't know how to handle it. Another message came. Newer. Mom, if you don't answer soon, I'm coming to find you. I don't know where you are. But I'll find you. You can't do this. Not to me. Not after everything I've done for you. I read that last line 3 times. Everything I've done for you. Like letting me live in his storage room was a gift. Like tolerating me was kindness. Like I owed him everything. And I realized something. Marcus really believed that. He truly thought he saved me. That I was in debt to him. He never thought about what I did for him. The years I worked 3 jobs. The nights I stayed awake when he was sick. The money I gave him. The sacrifices I made. To him that didn't count. That was just what mothers do. It was my job. My duty. Not love. Not sacrifice. Just expected. But letting me stay in his house. That was a favor. That deserved endless gratitude. I turned off the phone. This time with anger. Real anger. The anger of being invisible for years. Of giving without receiving. Of being treated like nothing. The bus started moving again. Night had fallen. Everything outside was black. Only distant lights. Inside most people were sleeping. I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking. Remembering. I remembered the first time Marcus called me a burden. Not directly. Close. A year ago. We were in the kitchen. I was cooking dinner. He came home. Dressed. Tired. Diana wasn't there. He sat down. Said, "Mom, I need to talk." My heart sank. I knew it wasn't good. I sat across from him. "Look," he said. Not looking at me. "I know this has been hard." I heard them once. They were in their bedroom. I was walking past. Diana said, "I don't know how much longer I can do this, Marcus. She's your mother. Understand. But this can't be forever. We need to find her somewhere. Senior home. An apartment. Something." "I know," Marcus said. "No. Just give me time. I'll figure it out." Figure it out. Like I was a puzzle. Problem. Not his mother. Not a person. Just something to solve. Kept walking. Didn't say anything. But that night, alone in the storage room, I decided. I wasn't waiting for them to figure me out. I was figuring myself out. And I started saving harder. Looking for options. Planning my escape. Because if I learned anything in that house, it was this. My words meant nothing. Only my actions did. The bus turned sharply. Pulled me back. I looked out. We were entering a small town. Gas station. Diner. Few houses with lights on. Simple. Quiet. Soon this would be my life. Closed my eyes. Breathed deep. And let myself feel something new. Pride. Pride in myself. In my strength. In my choice. In my courage. Because leaving wasn't running away. Leaving was choosing myself. Was saying enough. Was taking back my voice. My space. My dignity. And nobody could take that from me. The bus reached the final stop at noon on day 3. Got off. Legs stiff. Body tired. But spirit light. So light. The station was tiny. Almost empty. 2 taxis outside. Took one. Gave him Rita's address. The driver was old. Maybe 70. White hair. Kind eyes. He asked if I was new here. Said yes. Just bought a house. He smiled. Said it was a good town. Peaceful. Where neighbors still helped each other. We drove through small streets. I looked out. Everything was different. Small houses. Colorful. Trees everywhere. People walking slow. Park with benches. Fountain. Everything felt calm. Like time moved slower here. We arrived. My house. My house. I still couldn't believe it. Just like the pictures. 1 floor. Yellow walls. Blue door. A yard with tall grass. Wildflowers. And apple trees. 2 apple trees heavy with fruit. Paid the driver. $30. Tipped him 5 more. He thanked me. Drove away. I stood there. Purse in hand. Looking at what was mine. Took out my keys. The keys I'd touched every night. Put one in the lock. Turned it. The door opened. I walked in slowly. Inside was empty. Completely empty. White walls. Wood floors. The smell of dust. Time. A possibility. I walked through every room. Living room. Small kitchen with an old stove. Bathroom with white tiles and a tub needing cleaning. 2 bedrooms. One bigger. Both with windows looking at the backyard. I stood in the big bedroom. The one that would be mine. Looked around. Me. Silent. Perfect. And I cried. Not from sadness. From relief. From joy. From freedom. I sat on the floor. Took out my phone. Turned it on. More messages. Too many. But now one was different. From Marcus. Mom, I know where you are. Talk to Rita. I'm coming. We need to talk. This isn't over. I read it twice. Felt my stomach tighten. Not from fear. From readiness. I knew this would happen. Knew Marcus wouldn't let me go easily. Not because he loved me, but because he couldn't accept I made a choice without his permission. I called Rita. She answered immediately. Clotilde. You made it. I'm here. The house. Thank you, Rita. Thank you for everything. You don't need to thank me. It's your house. You earned it. Listen, I need to tell you something. Marcus called me. He was so angry. He demanded I tell him where you were. He threatened to come search the whole town. Got scared. I gave him the address. I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. It's okay. He would have found me anyway. Better now than later. Are you sure? Can come over. Be there with you. Well, I need to do this alone. But thank you. Hung up. Took a deep breath. Looked around my empty house. This was mine. This space was mine. And nobody, not even Marcus, was going to take it away. 3 days passed. 3 days of cleaning. Scrubbing floors. Washing windows. Buying basics. Mattress. A blanket. 2 plates. 2 cups. Pot. Pen. Simple things. Only what I needed. Nothing more. I slept on the floor the first night. On the mattress the second. Both nights were the best sleep I'd had in years. Because the silence was mine. 'Cause nobody was judging me. 'Cause I was in my own space. Then on the third afternoon I heard a car. I looked out the window. Black. Shiny. Expensive. Marcus's car. He got out. Looked at the house. Frowned. Like he couldn't believe this was where I lived. Like it was beneath him. Took a breath. Walked outside. Stood on the porch. Waited. Marcus walked toward me. Not smiling. Face tight. The look he had when things didn't go his way. Mom, he said. Voice cold. We need to talk. I said. My voice steady. Nothing like before. Not the soft voice. Not the one that always gave in. What is this? What are you doing here? You bought this house with what money? With my money. Money I saved. Money I earned. Money that's mine. You can't do this. You can't just leave. Without telling me. Without discussing it. I'm your son. You know. And I'm your mother. But that didn't matter when you said what you said at your party. Marcus pressed his lips together. That was a joke. Comment. You're taking it too seriously. I'm not taking it too seriously. I'm tired. Tired of being invisible. Of being treated like a problem. Of hearing you and Diana talk about me like I'm furniture. You're overreacting. You always overreact. Well, I'm reacting. Finally. After years of not reacting. After years of staying quiet. Marcus took a step back. Uncomfortable. Like he didn't expect me to fight back. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. I heard you and Diana. Talking about putting me in a home. About how I'm ruining your marriage. About how you wish I wasn't there. I know everything, Marcus. Because even though you treated me like I was invisible, I could still hear. He went quiet. Stared at the ground. Couldn't look at me. I came to get you, he finally said. Because you're my mother. 'Cause things can be fixed. 'Cause families talk. Well, I'm not going back. You're going to live here. In this town. In this old house. Alone. That's ridiculous. You're an old woman. You need family. You need help. You need peace. And I didn't have that with you. Marcus threw his hands up. Frustrated. Angry. I can't believe you're doing this. After everything I did for you. And there it was. That phrase again. Everything I did for you. Tell me, Marcus, I said. Looking right at him. What did you do for me? I let you live in my house. Took care of you. I let you be there. Let me. Said. Louder now. You let me live in a storage room. You let me. Mom. Well, not anymore. I'm not the mom who says yes to everything. The one who gets smaller so you can feel bigger. The one who accepts crumbs. that Mom stayed at that party. When you laughed at me. Marcus looked at me. And for the first time in years, I saw something in his eyes. Guilt. Real guilt. Deep guilt. But it was too late. You can go now, I said. Go back to your house. Life. Wife. I'll be fine here. Alone. In my space. The space I bought. The space where nobody will tell me I'm in the way. Marcus didn't move. Then he nodded. Slowly. Like he finally understood. That he lost. Not his mother. But his control over her. He turned. Walked to his car. Got in. Started the engine. And drove away. I stood on the porch. Watched him disappear. Felt every meter of distance make me lighter. Freer. Marcus's car vanished. I waited until even the dust settled. Then I let out the breath I'd been holding. My hands shook. Legs shook. But not from fear. From adrenaline. From power. From finally saying everything I'd kept inside for years. I went inside. Closed the door. Leaned against it. Then I cried. Hard. Deep sobs. Cried everything out. For the mother I was. For the son I had. For the relationship we lost. For the years I wasted hoping he'd change. For all the times I stayed silent. But I also cried with relief. 'Cause I finally spoke. Finally stood up. Finally showed him I had a voice. That I had limits. That I deserved respect. I wiped my tears. Went to the kitchen. Filled a glass with water. Drank it slowly. Looked out the window at the backyard. Overgrown. Wild. Full of weeds. But it had potential. Could see flowers. Small garden. Vegetables. Me sitting there. Reading. Drinking tea. In peace. The next days were strange. Quiet. I spent time cleaning. Organizing. Buying more things. Small table. 2 chairs. More pots. Towels. Curtains. Simple things. Nothing fancy. Just what made a house a home. Rita came on day 4. Brought homemade soup. Fresh bread. Coffee. We sat on the porch. She asked how I felt. I told her the truth. Scared. But peaceful. I didn't know what came next. But for the first time in years I felt alive. Marcus came, Rita said. No. How was it? Hard. But necessary. Do you think he'll come back? Maybe. Maybe not. But if he does, my answer stays the same. Rita nodded. Squeezed my hand. That simple touch said everything. Said I wasn't alone. Said I had support. Said I made the right choice. A week passed. Then 2. Life started taking shape. I woke early. Drank coffee on the porch. Watched sunrise. Worked in the garden. Pulled weeds. Planted flowers. Bought seeds at the market. Took my time. Had all the time in the world. I met neighbors. Mrs. Thompson. 70 years old. Lived alone. Made amazing pies. Mr. Garcia. A widower. Grew tomatoes. Always smiled. Linda. Young mother. 2 kids. Worked at the bakery. Everyone was kind. Nobody asked too many questions. Nobody judged. Just welcomed me. Like I'd always been there. My phone still got messages. But fewer now. Marcus wrote sometimes. Short. Cold. Hope you're okay. Tell me if you need anything. Never sorry. Never admitting what he did. Just empty words. I didn't answer. Had nothing to say. The conversation ended on that porch. Diana stopped writing. Disappeared from my life as fast as she entered. Like she never mattered. And she didn't. Marcus's aunt kept calling. Every week. Said I should forgive. That family was everything. That I was being selfish. That mothers don't abandon their sons. One day I let her talk. Listened to everything. When she finished I said calmly. Aunt, I didn't abandon my son. My son abandoned me years ago. I just finally accepted it. She had no answer. Hung up. Never called again. That was okay. 'Cause I learned something. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes family is who you choose. Who sees you. Who respects you. Who makes you feel like you matter. One afternoon I was watering flowers. Saw a car stop. My heart jumped. Thought it was Marcus. But it wasn't. It was Carlos. Marcus's cousin. The one who sent that message. He got out, hands in pockets, looked nervous, but determined. "Aunt Clotilde," he said. "Hope I'm not bothering you." "You're not. What are you doing here?" Came to apologize. For not saying anything that night. For staying quiet when Marcus said what he said. For being a coward. I looked at him. Saw real regret. Real guilt. "You don't have to apologize. It wasn't your job to defend me." "Yes, it was. You're my aunt. What happened was wrong. We all knew it. But nobody did anything. That makes us guilty too." We sat on the porch. Talked for hours. He told me about the family. About fights after I left. Some took my side. Others defended Marcus. The family split. He said Marcus kept insisting I overreacted. That I was being dramatic. That I was ridiculous. But fewer people believed him now. "People are seeing who he really is," Carlos said. "And they don't like it." I felt no satisfaction hearing that. Just sadness. Because Marcus was my son. Even though he hurt me. Even though he humiliated me. Even though he tried controlling me. Part of me still loved him. Still remembered the boy he was. But that boy was gone. And I had to accept it. Carlos left before dark. Hugged me goodbye. Said if I ever needed anything to call. Thanked him. Knew I probably wouldn't. But appreciated it anyway. Days turned to weeks. Weeks to months. My new life became my real life. I didn't think about Marcus every day anymore. Didn't check my phone hoping for messages. Didn't feel that weight in my chest when I remembered that night. I started sleeping better. Eating better. Laughing more. Feeling like my body was mine again. Like my time was mine. Like my life was mine. One morning, drinking coffee on the porch, I saw something on the ground. An envelope. Someone left it during the night. Picked it up. No return address. Just my name. Handwritten. Opened it. Inside was a letter. From Marcus. "Mom," it said. "I don't know how to start. I've tried writing this 1,000 times. I tear it up every time. Because I can't find the right words. But today I decided it does." And that space wasn't small. Wasn't unimportant. Wasn't leftover. It was mine. It was enough. It was everything. I stood up. Watered my flowers. Waved to Mrs. Thompson walking by. Made breakfast. Opened windows to let fresh air in. Did all these simple things. And as I did them I thought about something. Thought that maybe this was the real victory. Not Marcus's letter. Not the apology. But this quiet life. This peace that needed no permission. This freedom that depended on nobody. I, Margaret Hayes, at 65 years old, finally found my place. And I would never ever let anyone tell me I wasted air again. Because now I knew the truth. I didn't waste air. I breathed it. Freely. Deeply. Completely. And that breath was mine. That life was mine. That space was sacred. The months continued passing. Each one easier than the last. Each one lighter. I planted more in my garden. Tomatoes. Carrots. Beans. Watched them grow from tiny seeds to real plants. Felt like a metaphor. Like me. Growing again after being buried so long. Mrs. Thompson became a real friend. We drank tea together every Thursday. She told me about her life. Her husband who died 10 years ago. Her children who lived far away. Who called sometimes but rarely visited. She understood me. Understood what it felt like to be forgotten by people you loved. Mr. Garcia taught me about gardening. Showed me how to prune. How to water correctly. How to talk to plants. He said plants respond to kindness. Just like people. Just like me. I was responding to my own kindness. Finally, Linda from the bakery gave me leftover bread every week. Said it would just go to waste otherwise. But I knew the truth. She was being kind. Helping without making me feel small. I appreciated that more than she knew. The town had a small library. I got a card. Started borrowing books. Reading again. Something I hadn't done in years. Mystery novels. Stories about people finding themselves. Stories that felt like mine. I joined a small group at the community center. Women my age. Meeting Tuesday mornings. We knitted. Laugh. Shared stories. Some had difficult children too. Some had lost husbands. Some were just lonely. But together we weren't lonely anymore. Together we mattered. My phone barely rang anymore. Marcus stopped sending messages. I didn't know if that was good or bad. Just knew it was reality. Diana never contacted me. Not once. Proof she never cared. Marcus's aunt gave up. The rest of the family moved on. Only Carlos checked in sometimes. Short messages. Just making sure I was okay. I always answered him. 'Cause he cared. Really cared. 6 months after I left, I got a package. No return address. But I recognized the handwriting. Marcus's. Inside was a photo album. Old photos. Me and Marcus when he was little. His first day of school. His 10th birthday. His graduation. Photos I thought were lost. Photos from a time when we were happy. There was a note. Mom, I found these in storage. Thought you might want them. Looking at them made me remember. Remember who we used to be. I miss that. Miss you. Marcus. I looked through the album slowly. Each photo a memory. Each memory a mix of joy and pain. I saw myself in those pictures. Young. Smiling. Full of hope. I saw Marcus. Innocent. Looking at me like I was his whole world. And I cried. Because that world was gone. That relationship was gone. Those people were gone. But as I cried, I also realized something. Those memories were still mine. Marcus couldn't take them. Nobody could. They were proof that once I was loved. Once I mattered. Once I was more than a burden. I put the album on my shelf. Next to my books. My plans. My new life. Part of my past. But not my present. Not my future. A year passed. A full year in my little yellow house. A year of peace. Of growth. Of becoming myself again. Or maybe becoming myself for the first time. One morning I was in the garden. Picking tomatoes. Heard a car. Looked up. Black. Ginny. Marcus's car. Again. My heart didn't jump this time. Didn't race. Just beat steady. Ready. Marcus got out. But he looked different. Older. Tired. Thinner. Like the year had been hard for him too. He walked toward me slowly. Stopped at the garden gate. Didn't come in without permission. Mom, he said. Voice quiet. Can we talk? I set down my basket. Wiped my hands on my apron. Looked at him. We can talk. He came in. Sat on the porch steps. I sat in my chair. We didn't touch. Didn't hug. I sat. I've been thinking, he said. Lot. About what happened. About what I said. About how I treated you. I stayed quiet. Let him talk. I was wrong, he continued. Not just that night. But for years. I treated you like you were in my way. Like you were a problem. Like you didn't matter. And I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. I looked at him. Searched his eyes. Saw real regret. Real pain. Real understanding. Thank you, I said. For saying that. He nodded. Looked down. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to come back. I just needed to say it. To your face. Not in a letter. Not in a message. Face to face. We sat in silence. Birds singing. Wind blowing. The world continuing around us. Can I ask you something? He said. Course. Are you happy here? Thought about it. Really thought. Looked at my garden. My house. My life. Yes, I said. I'm happy. Marcus smiled. Dead smile. But real. But I'm glad. That's all I wanted to know. He stood up. I stood too. He looked at me. Like he wanted to say more. Do more. But didn't know how. Can I visit again? He asked. If you want to. Not to fix things. Just to see you. To know you. Like I should have been doing all along. Thought about it. Part of me wanted to say no. To protect myself. Keep my peace. But another part remembered. Remembered the little boy in those photos. Remembered that somewhere inside this man was still my son. You can visit, I said. But things are different now. I'm different now. You know. And that's okay. Marcus walked to his car. Turned back. Mom. Yes. Thank you. For what? For teaching me what strength looks like. Even if I learned it too late. He drove away. I sat back down. Held my basket of tomatoes. Felt something shift inside me. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But maybe the beginning of it. Maybe the possibility. Time kept moving. Marcus visited once a month. Short visits. We'd sit on the porch. Drink coffee. Talk about small things. The weather. The garden. His work. Never about Diana. Never about that night. Just present things. Safe things. Slowly, very slowly we started rebuilding. Not the old relationship. That was dead. But something new. Something based on respect. On boundaries. On truth. Diana never came. Marcus never mentioned her. I never asked. That part of his life wasn't mine anymore. And that was fine. 2 years after leaving, I was in my garden. Planting spring flowers. Heard footsteps. Looked up. It was Marcus. But it wasn't his visiting day. Everything okay? Yes. Everything's fine, he said. I just wanted to give you something. He handed me an envelope. Opened it. Inside was a check. Large check. More money than I'd ever seen. Marcus, what is this? It's money I owe you. For my education. For my wedding. For everything you gave me. Every dollar I could remember. Plus interest. I can't accept this. Yes, you can. Please. It won't fix anything. Won't change the past. But it's right. It's what I should have done years ago. I looked at the check. Looked at him. Saw the boy again. Just for a moment. Thank you, I said. You're welcome. We stood there. In my garden. Surrounded by flowers. By life. By growth. And I realized something. I had won. Not because of the check. Not because Marcus apologized. But because I chose myself. 'Cause I left. 'Cause I built this life. This space. This peace. Marcus hugged me before leaving. Quick hug. Awkward. But real. I'll see you next month, he said. I'll be here. I watched him drive away. Looked at the check. Thought about what I'd do with it. Maybe travel. Maybe donate some. Maybe just save it. Didn't matter. What mattered was this. I didn't need it. I had everything I needed right here. In this house. This garden. This life. I went inside. Made tea. Sat on my porch. Watched the sun set behind the mountains. And I smiled. Because I, Margaret Hayes, at 67 years old, had finally learned the most important lesson. I didn't take up space. Created space. And that space was mine. Would always be mine. Nobody could ever take it away again. The end came not with a bang, but with a whisper. The whisper of wind through apple trees. The whisper of peace in an old woman's heart. The whisper of a life finally lived on her own terms. I spent my days doing simple things. Watering plants. Reading books. Baking bread. Talking with neighbors. Nothing extraordinary. Nothing dramatic. Just life. Real quiet, beautiful life. And it was enough. More than enough. It was everything. Sometimes I thought about that night. That dinner party. That raised glass. Those words. Some people matter. Others just waste air. And I'd smile. 'Cause Marcus was wrong. I didn't waste air. Breathed it. Deeply. Freely. Gratefully. Every single day. And that breath was mine. That life was mine. That space was sacred. This is my story. The story of a mother who lost herself. Then found herself. The story of a woman who was made invisible. Then became visible again. The story of someone who was told she didn't matter. Then proved she did. Not to Marcus. Not to Diana. Not to anyone else. But to herself. And that was the only person who mattered. If you're listening to this. If you're feeling invisible. If someone makes you feel small. If someone tells you you don't matter, remember this: you do matter. Your space is important. Your voice deserves to be heard. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose yourself. Leave. Start over. Build a new life. Scary. It's hard. It's uncertain. But it's worth it. Because you're worth it. I'm living proof. At 67, I started over. Built a new life. Found peace. Found myself. And if I can do it, so can you. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for approval. Don't wait for things to get better. They won't. Not unless you make them better. Choose yourself. Leave the table where you're not valued. Build your own table. Your own space. Your own life. And when you do, you'll discover something amazing. You'll discover you were never wasting space. You were always enough. Always worthy. Always important. You just needed to believe it. So believe it. Choose yourself. And start living. Really living. Because life is too short to spend it making yourself small for people who'll never appreciate you anyway. This is Margaret Hayes. From my little yellow house. With my garden. My peace. My life. Reminding you you matter. Your space is sacred. And you deserve to be happy. Thank you for listening. Now go create your own space. Granny's voice signing off.